Hello, Marcus. Thanks for your time. And Marcus, he's the CEO and founder of the Total Sports Asia, and he is with us today to share his experience and expertise and any other information he judges necessary. So, thank you again, and please feel free to make a short introduction about your professional background and your experiences.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for inviting me, Luis. Happy to be here with you, including some of your other colleagues you had before. Sorry if it's a little wobbly. I'm using my mobile here, so I'm going to try to keep it still. I've been in this industry for 25 years, for 23 on my own here with my own company called Total Sports Asia. We're one of the leading sports marketing agencies in our part of the world, in Asia. So I've been doing this for 23 years, which I think at the moment makes us actually the longest serving agency out here. Our business is at the front end of the stick. Our job is to find revenue for sports IP owners. So we do this in the sponsorship space, television rights, licensing deals, and creating any other sort of interesting revenue streams that you can think of. So we've done branded residences with US Open Tennis. We've done quite a few other interesting licensing arrangements. So that's really what we do. Our job is to be creative and find money for licensing, for basically for our rights holders or IP owners, whatever way you want to call them. In a nutshell, there's a bit more, but that's it.
Is just for Asia or worldwide?
Well, our clients are global, so we do work with big football teams in Europe. We've worked with premier, organizations from the United States, from WWE wrestling to the US Open Tennis. So the clients are global, or the rights holders are global. That's probably the better word to describe it. But our job is to mostly find that money here in Asia. So that's really what we do. We work with rights holders, with broadcasters, with sponsors, and others here. So it's, but we also now, and this is, over 23 years, of course, you do many things, but there is a lot more focus now working also with local brands, or local rights holders. So we work with local football leagues, local football clubs. That's, I would say, a little newer, over the last maybe 2 years, where previously most of what we did was global. And just to give you a scale and sense, we've done about $500 million worth of rights fees for global rights holders over those 20 plus years. So,
okay.
Some money.
Now, what are you doing in your specific area of work to pass through it, what you are learning from, and what you are planning at the end of this crisis, what you may move, change, or adapt to pass through it?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. And I think we're all still probably trying to figure it out. In the first place, I think I told my sales team, and we had a call earlier, this is not a time where you go in there and try to push deals through or do a certain amount of hard selling. This is really all about relationship building, being conscious and aware of what the client is going through, and therefore, there's a few companies in the world who obviously are still making plenty of money right now, and to some degree, leveraging, in a sense, the opportunity. But many companies are hurting, of course, and having bigger issues than worrying about a sponsorship deal or what to buy in the world of sports. So this is really where we're stepping a bit off the gas here, and being very conscious and careful about it, and just having conversations with them about what's going on in the company on their end. And how can we support it? And I'll give you a real example. Clearly, so a few years back, we started to also get involved in esports outside of the, say, traditional world of sports. And esports, we all know, is currently booming because everyone is at home and playing games. So there's a large audience out there. So some of the conversation we're having with sponsors is not so much about, again, a strong message of, we love esports, we want to be in it. But a way to say, why don't you stay at home and play some games? So get away, follow what the government is telling you, be at home, but in a fun and interesting way. And so I think that's what we're doing. We're looking for ways to create again a campaign. This is what we always do, right? We don't just broker deals. We create the concept and find ways for companies to engage with sports and or esports now, of course, in a unique and interesting way. And that's that's what we're still doing right now. We're having these conversations. They're obviously less. A lot of companies are still trying to just get their foot around or feet under the table again. But I do believe that sooner or later will change. That doesn't mean that the budgets are there as they used to or were maybe at the beginning of the year when things were still normal. So I think we will deal with a big drop in numbers this year. And for sure, it's a survival of the fittest, no doubt.
Now is the time that those clubs or federations or agencies that have foreseen the need of being close, being attached to the fans in an online, in a virtual way. The ones who built this before, they are doing this close conversation with those people at home, and how people can learn from this need of being close to the customers, the fans, and how can they prepare themselves for future issues that maybe happen sooner or later. It's a common situation that we pass through every couple of years.
Yeah. Again, look, I mean, I think fan engagement you should have done this before the virus started, right? And to some degree, I think the industry is doing a lot of things in it. That doesn't mean that one doesn't do the right things. We did an interesting survey last year comparing websites of NBA teams, Premier League teams, or football teams from around the world. And pretty much everyone has the exactly same boring formula. Very few engagement on their own main platform. Everyone is pushing it to the social media platforms. Problem, of course, we all know what happens on the social media platforms. You don't have, it's not your customer. That's Mr. Zuckerberg's customers. So even if you have 100 million followers, as some of the big clubs have, it's very difficult for you to do anything. So I think that's a challenge. It has nothing to do with the virus, but that's a challenge overall. That people are now, or rights holders are now coming up with interesting ideas. I saw MotoGP doing some, virtual racing. Seen this similar. I think Formula One is working on some of those ideas. Have drivers engaged at that level. So, I think that's all short term. That's all fun and games. And basically, everyone is really trying to figure out how to create some content. A bit like us here, right? Sitting here talking and sharing thoughts. It's content, and hopefully there's people who are out there looking at it and will learn from it. But I do see that. I think the industry is right now is still trying to figure out how do we get through the next whatever it is few months. In some markets like China, kind of slowly back to, let's call it normal, if that word even exists anymore. At least business within the country is kicking back on. But they were obviously shut down for at least close to 2 months there. That's what you will see now happening in Europe, US, and other parts of Asia. So by the time we're done with this whole thing, the whole world is really back to normal. I think we're a good, 4, 5, 6 months down the road here. Whether we'll see any live sports prior to that, who knows? I think there will always be some organization who will dare to go out, probably do it without fans. I've read about UFC, one championship here in Asia, I think is planning certain events. And I just heard about today, there is actually still a football league out there playing, believe it or not, somewhere in Russia. So you'll have a bit of that. But in overall, the big ones, the NBAs and the Premier Leagues, which obviously have large following and massive responsibilities as well to the fans and everyone in between. I think they will take this very, very careful. They will bridge it with whatever means they can. They will figure out how to try to save these seasons. If you're a one-off tournament or a tournament which happens every few years, like the Olympics or Euro, that becomes a little easier to move it up a year, but you can't move a whole season up a year, right? So I think everyone will have to do different things. I think most of them are still working on the basics right now. It's still so early. I look at what's happening in the UK right now. They're just about now getting their act together a bit. So I do see still a few more months of a lot of pain here, with a lot of uncertainty for a lot of people.
That's great. So
it's not great, but it's the truth.
The truth is there. We have to face it and overcome it. We cannot avoid. We cannot feel sorry. We are professionals, and we have to go through and help those who are in need, in a social context and even in a professional context. We have to support the other. By the end of this crisis, everyone gets stronger and smarter and better for the next challenge. If you want to give a final comment, a final statement, everything was great. It was very experienced. You have shared with us. Please feel free to make a final statement.
Sure, absolutely. Anyone who knows me well knows I'm one of the most positive thinking people out there. I have a hard time focusing on the negative in that sense. At the same time, I do think this is a time where we do have to look at the worst case scenario and then, in a sense, plan for better or plan for the best, hope for the best. So I think that's, there's no point right now trying to sugarcoat stuff and believe things are better than they are. And I think that doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether it's ours or others. So you got to face the facts and deal with it, and whether that is how you deal with your employees and your staff or with your clients. Be very conscious of that, and really hunker down. I think is the key to the puzzle here. It's going to be longer than I think most of us think. But I think the ones again who are smart, who are nimble, who are creative, will come out of this. We've been around 23 years, and I plan to be around 24. We overcame crisis in 2008 and 9 when we had global. We had SARS in 2012, a bunch of other stuff in between. So this is unprecedented. So I'm not saying I can be compared with the others, but for sure there are ways to make it through it. That's our plan. So we will try to be here by next year and be part of the big 2021 with Euro and Olympics and God knows what else will show up there next year.
That's great. Thanks for your time and your experience shared. We just have talked to Marcos Luer from Malaysia, the CEO from Total Sports Asia. And on March 26th, we'll talk to Peter Clark from Netherlands. So thanks for your time and appreciate and be safe and healthy, my friend.
Same to you, Luis. Good talk to you. Have a good night. A good day there.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.